welcome back. It's 6:44. Now do get in contact with us on text. It's 53106 or on Twitter. It's @Ian Guider. We're constantly told that Ireland is one of the best small countries in the world in which to do business and that we're quickly rising up the competitiveness league tables. But are we really a place for startup companies, and can we compete with the likes of Silicon Valley for the top technology companies? Eoin Costello is founder of Startup Ireland. He's also set up and sold many companies, and he's program manager for Hothouse, which is part of the DIT. And Eoin is with me in studio. Eoin, we're always told by the Taoiseach and various other people that this is the best country to start up a company, and that we've got loads of great companies out here in Ireland. Do we really have?
We are one of the best countries in the world. The World Economic Forum recently found that we have all the factors in place that entrepreneurs typically look for in terms of access to finance, in terms of fantastic lifestyle. But one of the things we do struggle with is the actual volume of startups at scale. So if you take Tel Aviv in Israel, the number of companies that exit there each year generate in excess of 600-700 million in capital gains tax for the exchequer. We're not seeing that in Ireland. So part of Startup Ireland's vision for the year 2020 is that it's somewhat like, say, the IFSC vision in the 80s was that we would create a startup tech sector which will create capital gains for the government, which will create jobs and PAYE for the government. And on that basis, then you could actually really put in place a fantastic set of services and supports for the startup ecosystem in Dublin on an investment basis.
If you look at the last couple of years, you'll have report after report saying there are more startup companies in Ireland than ever before.
There are, yes. It's been compared with the Cambrian era, where you've got an absolute explosion in the number of startups. But one of the things we do struggle with somewhat in Ireland is scaling of startups. So, we've got some great startups that raised great Series A money, so Intercom, TrustDev, DataHug, Log Entries. But what we would love to see is a range of companies that get to the 500 million or the 1 billion. Let's get a Ryanair or...
Why doesn't it happen?
There are numerous reasons. One of the reasons that we've sort of seen happen is that when the US venture capitalists come in for a round, they will often insist that a large part of the management team move to the States. So our Dublin ecosystem is kind of leaking out the top. Now, sometimes that talent does come back from the East Coast, but sometimes it doesn't. If we had a system, say a tax incentive, whereby those companies that exited in the States are incentivized for the Irish entrepreneur to come back and start again in Dublin and start building a new startup, then we could start seeing the ecosystem deepen, etc. But that is one of the reasons why we're not seeing successful scaling.
10 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, you would have had the likes of Baltimore Technologies, Iona, Trimtech, Smartforce, all listed on the stock market here, all based here, headquartered here. We don't really have that anymore. Is it just the way the things have gone in the tech industry?
I would say that in that era, it was a fantastic era for tech companies, and a lot of them scaled up to IPO. I think that now there's more focus on VC fund backing, whereas I think IPO can be just as effective. I was talking to the Irish Stock Exchange recently, and they're looking to market themselves more effectively to Irish tech companies, and that's something I think that this sector needs to get their heads around, is the possibility of doing an IPO on Dublin as an alternative to potentially VC.
Give us some of the ideas that you guys in Startup Ireland want to see implemented.
The one thing we would love to see is, let's make Dublin the accelerator capital for Europe. Let's provide incentives to the multinationals that are located here to get their R&D facilities in Dublin. If you look at Tel Aviv, they've got 38 vertical accelerators.
What are they?
So a MasterCard recently opened an accelerator for financial tech companies, and you've got the Wire Accelerator which is part of the Telefonica multinational. If we could get more and more, say for example, Google Campus is located in Tel Aviv, Microsoft Ventures are located in Tel Aviv. These are hotbeds for startup activity for tech companies. We do not have those in Dublin, even though we've got significant presences from Google and Microsoft. If we could get a significant increase in the number of corporate venturing activities that happen in Dublin, you will see the ecosystem grow very, very, very quickly.
Is it not just a fact of life that if you start up a tech company, somebody comes in, you're a young person, they'll offer you a big check and say, look, here you go, we want your idea, and we're probably going to close it down, but that's the way it is?
Well, you know what, Ian? That's part of the cultural difference between Tel Aviv and Silicon Valley. They did research where they spoke to the entrepreneurs who are setting up new ventures in Silicon Valley and Tel Aviv. And the big difference with Dublin is that they want to build world-beating companies, whereas in Dublin, the culture has often been, listen, if I get 5 million in the bank, I'm doing well. We have to change that culture to be much more ambitious.
And for people out there who want to become part of Startup Ireland, I know you want to try and get a whole list of Irish companies out there.
Yeah, so all you need to do is if you go to LinkedIn and type in Startup Ireland, you'll find our LinkedIn group. We've got about 4,000 members at this stage. Or go to @Startup Ireland on Twitter. We've got about 3,500 followers. We're growing all the time. Anyone who wants to help build the startup ecosystem in Ireland, we're very happy to talk to.
Okay, Eoin Costello, founder of Startup Ireland, thank you very much for coming in this morning.